My tribal marks do not depreciate my beauty. That was the first thing I ever said to him. Not hello, not thank you, not who are you, just that. Because the way he looked at me told me everything. Not disgust, not mockery, curiosity. Dangerous curiosity. The kind of curiosity powerful men feel when they encounter something they do not own. My name is Adesewa Adeyemi of Oyo, daughter of the house of Oranmiyan, bloodline of kings, granddaughter of a woman who spoke to spirits and was never wrong. And the scars on my cheeks? They are not wounds. They are history. Twin crescent lines carved gently when I was a child, a reminder that beauty is not smooth. It is inherited. It is endured. But none of that prepared me for him. Soul did not smell like home. It smelled like rain on steel and ambition. And the skyline glittered with corporate lies and billionaire secrets. And somewhere behind all that glass and neon was the man who ruled the undercurrent of it all. Kang Jae-min, chairman of Haedong Holdings, philanthropist, investor, patron of the arts, and the most powerful mafia boss in South Korea. I knew that before I ever stepped into his gala, because I had seen him before, in a vision. The first vision came when I was 15. My grandmother had taken me to the shrine at the edge of Oyo, where the old trees leaned like elders and the air felt heavier than time. You do not choose the site, she told me. The site chooses you. That night, as drums echoed from distant celebrations, I collapsed, and I saw a man standing in snow. His hands were covered in blood, but he was not the one bleeding. He turned toward me slowly. Cold gray eyes, sharp jawline, a scar across his left brow. And when he spoke, I could not hear his voice, but I understood him. Find me. I woke screaming. Grandmother did not panic. She simply said, "When destiny knocks, it does not knock softly." Years later, Destiny wore a black tuxedo. The South Korea-Nigeria Cultural Investment Summit was supposed to be diplomatic. Economic collaboration, oil, tech, infrastructure. I attended as a cultural liaison and representative of the Oyo Royal Foundation. He attended because wherever money moved, he was the current beneath it. The ballroom shimmered gold. Politicians laughed too loudly. Women pretended not to study each other's jewelry. And then the air shifted. It was subtle. Like oxygen thinning before a storm. Kang Jae-min had entered. He didn't command attention. He absorbed it. Tall, immaculate, controlled. His presence was not loud, it was inevitable. And when his eyes found mine across the room, something ancient in me trembled. Not fear, recognition. He walked toward me, each step deliberate, each movement precise. The crowd parted without being asked. When he stopped in front of me, the room felt smaller. His gaze lowered briefly to my tribal marks. A flicker of something passed through his eyes. Calculation? Admiration? Disbelief? My tribal marks do not depreciate my beauty, I said calmly. The corner of his mouth twitched. I never thought they did. His voice was deep, controlled, Korean syllables wrapped in silk. You stared, I replied. I observe, he corrected. And what have you observed? That you are not intimidated. I held his gaze, and you are used to being. For the first time in that room, Kang Jae-min smiled genuinely. It did not reach his eyes, but it was real. What the press never wrote about Kang Jae-min was how silent he was in private. He listened more than he spoke. He watched more than he reacted. He studied people the way a predator studies weather patterns. And yet that night, he lingered near me longer than protocol required. We spoke about trade agreements, about the Yoruba Empire, about history. But beneath it, something else moved. A current neither of us acknowledged. When he asked if I believed in fate, I did not hesitate. I believe in warnings. His gaze sharpened. And have you been warned about me? Yes. And? I met his eyes. You are either the destruction of many or the redemption of one. The silence between us thickened. Which one am I? He asked softly. I felt it then. The flicker. A future cracking open. Blood. Gunfire. My voice shouting his name, and him falling. I blinked. The vision vanished. You haven't decided yet, I whispered. Back in Oyo, when visions come, they do not ask permission. They seize you. That night in my hotel suite overlooking the Han River, it happened again. I was brushing my hair when the world tilted. The mirror blurred, and I saw him kneeling, snow falling around him, a gun aimed at his head, a familiar face holding the weapon. Not an enemy, a brother. Betrayal wrapped in loyalty. The bullet fired, and I screamed. I collapsed onto the floor. When I opened my eyes, I knew something with terrifying certainty. If I stayed away from him, he would die. If I went near him, the world would burn. The opposition came swiftly, from both sides. In Seoul, the board members whispered, she is foreign. She is not appropriate. She carries old superstition. In Oyo, the elders frowned. A mafia boss? A criminal? You carry royal blood, Adesewa. You will not stain it. But blood has never listened to logic, and Kang Jae-min did something no one expected. He flew to Nigeria. Not secretly, not cautiously, publicly. He stood in Oyo in a tailored charcoal suit beneath blazing sun and said, in fluent rehearsed Yoruba, I am not here to steal your daughter. I am here to ask permission to earn her. The elders were not impressed. My uncle warned him privately. You rule with fear in your country. Here, fear does not impress us. Jaemin bowed. Then I will rule with patience. But patience is not something the mafia world rewards, and somewhere in Seoul someone was already plotting. Because love, in an empire built on control, is a weakness. And Kang Jae-min had just revealed his. He called me that night. I do not understand your visions, he admitted quietly. But I understand this. When you are near me, I do not feel alone. Powerful men rarely confess loneliness. It unsettled me. You are in danger, I said. I am always in danger. No, this is different. Silence. Then softly, will you stand beside me when it comes? I thought of my grandmother's words. When destiny knocks, it does not knock softly. I will, I answered. And somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled. Because neither of us knew yet. The betrayal was already moving, and the twist destiny prepared for us was far crueler than death. They did not hate their love because it was impossible. They hated it because it was real. Because when a man like Kang Jae-min falls, he doesn't fall halfway. He falls like a tower collapsing, taking secrets, alliances, and entire empires with him. And Adesewa wasn't just any woman. She was Oyo royalty, a symbol, a boundary, a line that was never meant to be crossed. The morning after Ye-min arrived in Nigeria, Oyo woke up like it had been slapped. The palace courtyard buzzed with whispers dressed as greetings. Elders sat taller than usual. Women covered their mouths when they spoke, as if words could offend the ancestors. Young men stared at Jaemin like he was a strange animal that wandered into sacred land. And Jaemin, calm, controlled, stood in the sun as if he had always belonged under it. But Adesewa saw what others couldn't. She saw the tension in his shoulders when the drums in the distance thundered. She saw the way his eyes tracked exits, corners, shadows. A man like him didn't relax. He only pretended. That afternoon, Adesewa's uncle, Prince Adekunle, called her into the private council room. The air smelled like incense and authority. You will not embarrass us, he said without preamble. Adesewa's voice stayed even. I am not a child. You are not a free woman either, he snapped. You are a royal representative. Your choices do not belong to you alone. Adesewa leaned forward. And my heart? Does that belong to the council too? Her uncle's stare hardened. What you call love, I call weakness. Adesewa's jaw tightened. You have mistaken love for softness. Love is not soft. Her uncle stood abruptly, the chair scraping the floor like an accusation. You know why this is happening, don't you? Adesewa blinked. What are you talking about? Prince Adekunle lowered his voice. Because of what you are. Adesewa's stomach clenched. The visions. He spoke the word like it was shameful. You keep pretending it's a blessing, he continued. But every time you speak like you've already seen tomorrow, you make enemies. Even here. Especially here. Adesewa inhaled slowly. I didn't ask for it. No, he said, but now you've given it a face. Adesewa's eyes narrowed. Jaemin. You have made the world watch you, her uncle said sharply. You have made them curious. You have made them afraid. And fear makes people violent. Adesewa held his gaze. Then let them be afraid, she whispered. Because I'm tired of shrinking. Prince Adekunle's expression did not soften. You think you're in control, he said. But if you go further with this man, you will learn what it means to become a target. That night, Adesewa found Jaemin in the palace guest compound, alone. He stood outside, looking toward the trees where the moonlight rested on leaves like silver. He didn't turn when she approached. He simply said, Your people are polite. Adesewa paused. That's not what you mean. Jaemin exhaled. They are polite, while they decide what to do with me. Adesewa stepped closer. Are you afraid? For a beat, he was silent. Then he answered honestly, No, but I'm alert. She stared at him. You came here anyway. Yes, he said, finally turning. His eyes were dark, steady. Because I wanted to meet the version of you that exists in your world. Adesewa's breath caught slightly. My world is not gentle, she warned. His gaze flicked briefly to her tribal marks, but this time, there was no curiosity. Only respect. Neither is mine, he replied. A long silence spread between them. Then Adesewa spoke softly. I had a vision. Jaemin's face didn't change, but something in his eyes sharpened, like a blade recognizing danger. Of what? He asked. Snow, she said. A gun. Someone close to you. Jaemin's jaw tightened. Family? Adesewa asked. His voice lowered. Brother. Adesewa's throat went tight. You have a brother? Yes, he said. Kang Jae-hoon. The name felt heavy in Adesewa's mouth, like it carried consequences. Does he love you? She asked carefully. Jaemin's lips pressed together. He respects me, he said, and he resents me. Adesewa swallowed. That's not an answer. Jaemin's gaze stayed steady, but his voice went colder. In my world, love is a luxury, resentment is a tool. Adesewa looked away, the palace walls suddenly feeling too small. What did your vision show you exactly? He asked. Adesewa closed her eyes. Him holding the gun, she whispered. And you, kneeling. Jaemin did not flinch. He simply nodded once, like he was receiving a report. Then it's already in motion, he said. Adesewa snapped her eyes open. And you're just calm? Jaemin looked at her. Adesewa, he said quietly. A man like me is always being hunted. The only difference is whether I know the hunter's name. Back in Seoul, Kang Jae-hoon sat in a private room above a nightclub. The city lights below looked like scattered jewels. He wore the same face as his brother. Sharp cheekbones, cold eyes, but his expression carried something Jaemin never allowed himself. Impatience. Jae-hoon didn't build the empire. He watched it. He protected it. And after years of being the loyal brother, he had grown tired of playing second. A man stepped into the room and bowed. Chairman Kang is in Nigeria, the man said. Jae-hoon's mouth twitched. I know. Publicly, the man added. This is unusual. Jae-hoon leaned back, tapping his fingers slowly on the table. It's reckless, he said. The man hesitated. Do we pull him back? Jae-hoon stared at the ceiling like he was bored. No, he said. Let him fall deeper. The man frowned. Sir? Jae-hoon's eyes shifted. A boss who falls in love becomes predictable, he said softly, and predictable men can be replaced. The room went quiet. Then the man asked, With respect, sir, replaced by whom? Jae-hoon smiled. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. In Oyo, trouble didn't arrive loudly. It arrived like a shadow. 2 days after Jae-min's public visit, Adesewa's foundation received an anonymous letter. No stamp, no sender, no warning. Just one sentence. The man you love will bring war to your house. Adesewa stared at it so long the paper felt like it was burning. She didn't show her uncle. She didn't show the elders. She only went to the shrine. Not because she needed a miracle, but because she needed clarity. The shrine sat beyond the town, where trees stood like guardians, and the wind moved like a whisper. She knelt, pressing her palm to the earth. Her grandmother's voice lived inside her memory. The sight chooses you. Adesewa shut her eyes, and the vision hit her like a wave. Not snow this time. Fire, a house burning, a woman screaming, a baby crying, and her own voice shouting, No, please! Adesewa gasped, her body jolting. She opened her eyes, and her hands were trembling. Then she saw something in the dirt, a small object, metal, shiny. She reached for it and picked it up. A bullet casing. Her blood went cold, because this shrine was sacred. No one brought weapons here, unless they wanted to break something, or claim something. Adesewa stood slowly, and for the first time in her life, she felt it clearly. This wasn't just destiny, this was a threat. That night, the palace hosted a small dinner, a peace offering, a show of etiquette. The elders sat with careful smiles. Jae-min sat with calm posture, and Adesewa sat between worlds. But as plates clinked and quiet conversation moved, Adesewa noticed something. A man at the far edge of the room, not palace staff, not a guard. His eyes never left Jae-min, and his hand stayed inside his jacket. Adesewa's heart slammed. She didn't scream. She didn't stand. She simply leaned toward Jae-min and whispered, Don't move. Jae-min's eyes flicked to her lips. What? He murmured. Adesewa's voice dropped lower. Your left. Back corner. He has something. Jaemin's face didn't change, but his body shifted in a way almost invisible. Adesewa saw it clearly, how a predator adjusts when it senses a strike. Jae-min lifted his glass calmly, but his eyes, cold and precise, locked onto the corner man. The corner man froze, just for a moment, and that moment was enough. Jae-min stood up smoothly, like he was simply excusing himself. He stepped forward, close to Adesewa, and in a quiet voice that only she could hear, he said, Stay seated. Adesewa's breath caught, because the tone in his voice wasn't polite. It was command. Jae-min walked toward the corner, calm as a man walking to prayer. The corner man's eyes widened. He shifted his weight. His fingers tightened inside his jacket. Adesewa's blood turned to ice. Then Jae-min moved. One step. A fast reach. He grabbed the man's wrist and twisted, hard. And the object clattered to the floor. A small pistol. Gasps erupted. Chairs scraped back. The dinner shattered into panic. Guards surged forward. The elders stood yelling. And Adesewa, frozen, watched as Jae-min held the man's wrist like it was nothing. Jae-min stared into the man's face. You are not palace security, he said quietly. The attacker's eyes darted. Jaemin leaned closer, and with a voice so calm it was terrifying, he asked, "Who sent you?" The attacker swallowed. He said nothing. Jaemin's gaze sharpened. Adesewa could see it. This wasn't the first time Jaemin had done this. This was routine. The guards dragged the man away. Chaos rolled through the room like smoke. But Jaemin didn't look shaken. He walked back to Adesewa, and for the first time she saw something human crack through the armor. Not fear, not sadness. Anger. Quiet, protective anger. He leaned down, close to her ear. "I told you," he said. "My world isn't gentle." Adesewa whispered back. "That wasn't your world." Jaemin's eyes narrowed. "You're right," he said, and his voice turned colder. "That was yours." Later, when the palace finally calmed, Adesewa met Jaemin in the courtyard. The night air was heavy. The moon stared down like it was judging them. Adesewa crossed her arms tightly. "Someone brought a gun into the palace," she said. Jaemin nodded. "Which means," she continued, "someone here helped them." Jaemin's gaze did not move. "Yes," he said. "That's what it means." Adesewa's voice trembled. "My uncle warned me." Jaemin stepped closer carefully. "Adesewa," he said, "look at me." She did. And she felt it, the way the air shifted when he focused on her. "I didn't come to steal you," he said, "but I will not apologize for loving you." Adesewa's throat tightened. "Then why do I feel like everything I love is about to burn?" she whispered. Jaemin's gaze softened, just slightly. "Because someone is trying to punish you for being seen," he said. Adesewa's eyes stung. "And what do we do?" she asked. Jaemin's answer was simple. "We find the traitor," he said. "And then?" Adesewa asked. Jaemin's face became unreadable. "Then," he said quietly, "we make sure nobody ever tries this again." But as Adesewa stared at him, she realized something. The twist she feared wasn't only about who tried to kill him, it was about why they tried. And a cold truth began to rise in her chest. This wasn't just about Jaemin being a mafia boss. This was about her bloodline, her visions, her marks. Because someone had tried to attack them in the palace, right after she warned him. Like they wanted to see if her gift was real. Like they were testing her. Adesewa's voice lowered. "Jaemin," she whispered. "Yes?" "I think..." She swallowed. "I think I'm not the problem." Jaemin's eyes locked onto hers. "What do you mean?" Adesewa's voice shook. "I think I'm the target." The truth did not arrive with shouting. It arrived quietly, like betrayal always does. 2 nights after the attempted shooting, the palace guard captain was found unconscious in a storage corridor. No sign of forced entry. No struggle. Only a missing security logbook. Jaemin didn't need to say it. Adesewa saw it in his eyes. This wasn't random. This was layered. Strategic. Meanwhile, in Seoul, Kang Jae-hoon stood in the Haedong headquarters private boardroom. He looked out over the city like a man already rehearsing ownership. "Prepare the statement," he told his legal advisor. The advisor blinked. "What statement?" Jae-hoon's voice was smooth, the one expressing concern for my brother's reckless international involvement. The advisor hesitated. "Sir, Chairman Kang is still very much in control." Jae-hoon smiled faintly. "For now." Back in Oyo, Adesewa couldn't sleep, and the shrine vision replayed in her mind. Fire, a baby crying, her voice breaking, and then something new. A face she hadn't noticed before. It wasn't Jaemin's brother. It wasn't her uncle. It was someone older. Someone dignified. Someone she trusted. Her breath hitched. No. The realization came slowly, painfully. The bullet casing at the shrine. The palace infiltration. The timing. Someone wasn't trying to kill Jaemin. Someone was trying to trigger something. Trigger her. Adesewa stood abruptly and went straight to her uncle's quarters. She didn't knock. She pushed the doors open. Prince Adekunle looked up sharply. "You forget protocol," he said. "You forget honesty," she replied. His expression hardened. "What are you accusing me of?" Adesewa's voice trembled, but not with fear. "With knowledge," she said. "You warned me that loving him would make enemies." "Yes." "You warned me I would become a target." "Yes." "And yet, when someone brings a gun into the palace, you are not surprised." Silence stretched between them. Her uncle's eyes shifted slightly, and that was enough. Adesewa's heart cracked. "You knew," she whispered. Prince Adekunle sighed. "You think this is about jealousy?" he asked. "About pride? Then what is it about?" He stood slowly. "It is about prophecy." The word struck her like a slap. "You were never meant to marry quietly," he said. "You were never meant to be ordinary." Adesewa's throat tightened. "What have you done?" she asked. "I protected this house," he said firmly, "from a future you do not fully understand." Adesewa stepped back. "The shrine," she breathed. "You placed the casing?" Prince Adekunle did not deny it. "You needed to see," he said. "To see what?" "That your gift is not random," he said. "It attracts power." Adesewa's stomach turned. "You orchestrated the palace attack?" "I allowed it to happen," he corrected calmly, "to test whether the Korean man would protect you, or himself." Her chest burned. "You used me." Prince Adekunle's voice rose slightly. "I prepared you." "For what?" she shouted. "For war," he said. Outside, Jae-min stood still in the courtyard. He had heard enough. Not every word, but enough. And for the first time in his life, he felt something more dangerous than anger. He felt betrayal not from enemies, but from someone who claimed to love. Later that night, Jae-min sat alone under the moonlight. Adesewa approached him slowly, and her eyes were red. "He knew," she said softly. Jae-min nodded once. "I suspected." Adesewa's voice cracked. "He used the attack to see if you would shield me." Jae-min looked at her. "And I did." She knelt in front of him. "They think I am some bridge between worlds, that loving you will ignite something ancient." Jaemin's gaze softened. "And what do you think?" Adesewa swallowed. "I think they are afraid." "Of me?" he asked. "No," she whispered. "Of me choosing." The silence between them felt heavier than any gunshot. Jae-min leaned forward slightly. "I can fight governments," he said quietly. "I can fight rivals. I can fight my own blood." He paused. "But I will not fight your family." Adesewa's breath caught. "What are you saying?" Jae-min stood. He helped her up gently. "I am saying this ends," he said, and her heart dropped. "You're leaving." "Yes." Tears filled her eyes instantly. "You said you would stand beside me." "I did," he said calmly. "And I will." She stared at him in confusion. "How?" "By removing myself." The words felt like knives. "If I stay," he continued, "your house fractures. If I stay, your uncle escalates. If I stay, your visions grow violent." He brushed his thumb gently over her tribal marks. "And I will not be the man who sets fire to your inheritance." Adesewa's tears fell freely now. "You don't get to decide that alone." Jaemin's eyes softened. "No," he said, "but I get to decide who I become." In Seoul, Kang Jae-hoon received a message. "Chairman Kang is returning." His smile faded. "Alone?" he asked. "Yes, sir." Jae-hoon's fingers tightened around his glass. "So he chose power." The aide hesitated. "No, sir." Jae-hoon frowned. "He resigned from public control of Haedong Holdings before boarding the flight." Silence. Jae-hoon stood slowly. "He did what?" "He transferred executive authority to you." The room felt suddenly smaller. Jae-hoon whispered, almost to himself. "He chose her." Back in Oyo, dawn broke quietly. Adesewa stood at the airstrip. Jae-min stood across from her. No guards, no ceremony, no witnesses. "I will not disappear," he said quietly. "But I will not drag your world into mine." Adesewa wiped her tears. "And what if I come to yours?" Jaemin's jaw tightened. "Then it will be your choice." He stepped closer. "And this time, no one tests you." He pressed his forehead gently to hers. "For the first time in my life," he said softly, "I am not afraid of losing power." He paused. "I am afraid of losing you." Adesewa's voice trembled. "You won't." He studied her face. "And if your visions show something darker?" She met his eyes. "Then I will walk into it willingly." The plane engine roared, and in that moment Adesewa felt something shift inside her. Not a warning, not a disaster, something else. She closed her eyes, and she saw snow again. But this time, no gun, no kneeling, just two sets of footprints walking side by side. She opened her eyes. "Jae-min," she called softly. He paused. "Yes?" "My vision changed." He studied her carefully. "How?" She smiled through tears. "There was no blood." Jaemin's breath slowed. "That means—" "It means destiny adapts," she said. He nodded slowly. Then he boarded the plane. Months later, Adesewa stood in Seoul. Not as a guest, not as a political symbol, but as a woman who chose. The press buzzed. The boardroom shifted. The underworld watched. Kang Jae-hoon sat at the head of Haidong Holdings. But for the first time, he looked uncertain, because the man who walked away from power was harder to predict than the one who held it. And the woman with tribal marks who saw the future? She no longer waited for visions. She created them. And somewhere deep beneath Seoul's glass skyline, new enemies whispered. Because love between empires does not erase ambition, it challenges it. And while this chapter closed, the game had only changed, not ended.